It's there. All right, good. There. Now everything's working. So many problems. I don't know what it is. Occasionally you get some type of an upgrade, and like when it updates or something like that, it always kind of desyncs everything. But nothing updated today, so I'm not sure why that did that. And there's a notification on my phone. Okay, good. All right, we cooking with gas now. We cooking with gas. All right, so overall today, more or less a flat day. It's Monday. No real huge gigantic news. Um, you know, Not necessarily a surprise. Like I said, we need some catalysts in the markets these days. Everybody is so hinged on what's going to happen next, what's reopening, what's not reopening, how bad is the economy. Interesting enough, you guys can see over here that there's this Navarro, rejects White House advisors' gloom and doom outlook on economy. It's pretty interesting. No V-shaped recovery for U.S. economy likely without more stimulus. Got to keep those rates low. This one's pretty cool too. Global $6 trillion slump may be optimistic, warns Bloomberg. It's like, okay, whatever. This is interesting too, negative payroll tax. So for the most part today, things were more or less flat. Euro dollar up about 14, which is really nothing. Pound dollar in the last 24 hours since the open is up 56. Some of that is retracing in the last 15 minutes. Not a lot though, just a little bit. Not too crazy. Dollar yen, minus 26, nothing. CAD Swiss 14. CAD is basically the only one that really put in a true day's worth of work today. Minus 62 is about what it should be. Maybe just slightly low, but for the most part, not obviously a big number, but minus 62 is not bad. Aussie dollar up 45, a little bit on the low side. I mean, it moved, but, again, did not quite get to where its ATR needs to be. Euro pound down 29, but, again, some of that in the last 60 minutes has moved. And then pound yen up 29. So overall, what you can take from this is we had slight pound strength. A little bit of dollar weakness. I'd just say a little bit. And obviously the CAD is retracing back again after all the major losses that it had last week. And remember Wednesday, Thursday? Maybe it's a little earlier than that. All the weeks are blending together right now. This quarantine week 27. Obviously, the CAD was under gloom and doom. That's what every news release was talking about last week, was how bad the CAD is. CAD is getting crushed. And I don't know, it doesn't look like it's getting crushed that bad to me. It's definitely not as horrible as, some people are making it out to be. And like I said, all the news article last week were like, oh, it's so bad. And we're back in the 140 area, right? We were up to 146 weeks ago, beginning of April, but it's, since that time, I mean, we've been good. It's been nothing but pound strength for the most part. So not sure what they were talking about with all that gloom and doom. All right. So with that being said, going into tomorrow, we had a BOJ press conference today at 2:23 a.m. Super early, but that's when those things happen. President Trump spoke. Again, he speaks every day between 5 and 6, typically, depending on how late he is. Going into tomorrow, we have some Spanish unemployment rate. Not necessarily that big of a mover for the euro, but it does show up as a kind of a medium-sized mover. I can move the euro a little bit. Again, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody else awake at that point. So it can actually do some stuff. 10 a.m., we have consumer confidence. That's obviously a very important number. Previously, we were at 120, and the forecast is 88, so there's expected to be a big drop. Again, being at 10, that could be a popular time for a reversal tomorrow, so just kind of keep an eye on that. We may or may not see it. I mean, we'll see what the markets are doing first thing in the morning, but that would be one of the movers. One of the things that could definitely reverse it. Hold on, I was trying to do something. There we go. All right. And then tomorrow night, obviously, during chart school, we have the CPI quarter over quarter. So that'll give us some true figures into the Aussie situation, the Aussie economy. Interestingly enough about that one, with the previous being at 0.7, it's supposed to be in at 0.2. It's not a negative number. It's supposed to come in as 0.2. Interested to see if that is still going to be on the positive side or not. Because, again, it is quarter over quarter, and they're showing a little bit, and Australia is kind of through to the other end. So we will kind of see... we'll kind of see what's going on, right? Hold on one sec. I'm hitting my Amazon Prime number. All right. So, for the most part, I don't expect to be tomorrow. Besides the consumer confidence, it's not one of those days where it's just going to be, things are going to be set on fire. It's going to need some type of an additional, kind of some huge catalyst is most likely what we're going to need. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Besides the news, really nothing in here. The Australian bartender found ATM glitch. Obviously that's a big deal. He blew 1.6 billion or 1.6 million dollars. He was out drinking on the town. 1.6 million is a lot of money to be out drinking. White House suspends daily coronavirus briefing. Says they'll resume. Later in the week to focus on other things. Basically, they're tired of saying the same stuff. I know with states opening back up again, Trump has said that, especially with Georgia, he's been like, I don't agree with this. Not a good idea. But, we'll see where that one comes in at. And for the most part, everything else is basically normal. Again, it was a Monday, not really a big mover for the most part. All right, so let's go over into charts. And I'm gonna stay with the minimalistic charts today. My voice is still not 100% back. Like I said, peak of allergy season for us. It's no fun. We had a little bit of rain, but it wasn't like enough to do that much. It was just enough water to like tell the plants, I was like, yup, it's spring, sprout. So, yeah, everything's been down for about 3 days. So still have the voice issue. So we're just going to do the abbreviated list today with the indices as well as gold, silver, and oil. Okay. If there's anything else you guys want me to cover, just let me know. Same here in VA. I'm in Maryland, so yeah, if you're right over there, then yeah, you're dealing with the same junk that we are. It's like, I mean, it was windy today, but all the tree, like all the first burst of trees, they're like, yeah, let's just dump everything. The helicopters are all over the place, the little red flowers all over the place, and then I forget what they're called. I don't know if it's called like a soft maple or whatever it is. It drops these big like yellow and orange flowers, and the yellow and orange flowers are not out, but the petals from the outside of like the bloods, or like the bloom things of them, those are starting to come down now. So those are like everywhere. This weekend I did a lot of like yard work and cleaned the entire basement out, getting it ready to move the kids in the basement and the garage also. And there's stuff everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. So it is what it is. All right, so looking at the Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar on the daily, one of the biggest things we can look at is down here at the bottom. Looking at this ATR, you can see that where price is right, or where the ATR is right now, it's at 88 pips. It's not quite back. You can see that the average kind of fluctuates around over here somewhere. Let me see. Can I put that tag in there? That would be awesome. Whoop, not that tag. Not that one. I want to put the other tag. Actually, I guess I could put that one. You guys can see the average over here is going to be down here in like the 62 range, right? It would have been better if I moved it over here. Hold on. Right in there. You can see that the average, again, right about that area, right in there is about 60 pips. We're at 88, so we're still a little bit on the high side. Not the end of the world. We're getting close. We're almost back to completely normal. But on the daily, you can see we've pushed higher, we push higher, and we're not all the way up to where we'd be looking to sell automatically, but you can see there's a little bit of a hidden zone right here. It is sitting right there for you guys to see it, right in here. Okay, you can see this drop, sideways movement, and then drop to the downside. I'll zoom in on it so you can see it a little bit better. Actually, let me take this and make this white. I have different colors for different charts that I'm on, but it doesn't know that. So you can see this level of basing right here. It's something on the 4 hour. You can definitely see as well. It's actually sitting right up here. There's a little bit of a zone. And again, we could refine it. Whoops. I was like, wait, why is it doing that? No, I want this one. I don't want that one. There we go. Now it's all messed up. Let me go back to the daily. Move it over. There. Drop it back down. Shrink this. There we go. Probably in that zone. Probably right there. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so we are getting close to a supply zone where we're going to have to like start watching out for things. So we just got to keep that in focus. Dropping it down to an hourly, you can see that zone is marked off on the hourly as a big area, but we know that we can start seeing that on the daily as well as the 4 hour, right? So we know that that's a legit area that we need to worry about. Now, on the hourly, you can see that it's a bit higher. Today, really all we had was sideways movement on the hourly. You can see from more or less where we opened down here, right here, right? You can see that really we opened below, kind of in a zone on the hourly, right? Kind of where this basing level was, and then it just did nothing but rally back up again. Until about 8 o'clock this morning. Oh, hold on, let me hit the time. About 1 o'clock today, 1 o'clock this morning, and then it more or less just kind of flatlined and stayed sideways and didn't really do much. So where we're at, I would say that to me, the fact that we haven't been able to punch through the top, I'd probably be looking more for something bearish. Typically, when you look at this, you want to see the, prices really getting some type of kind of clear patterning, one way or the other. Now, we've been kind of wedged in, right? Kind of stuck in that area. And again, top to the bottom, top almost to the bottom. Again, these are kind of, advancing a little bit higher, came back up, touched the top again, went all the way to the bottom again. So it's definitely a sideways channel that we need to break out of. The one thing I'm worrying about just to the downside is we do have a level of basing right here. Okay, marking this one off right in this range, right? So something we need to watch out for. Again, nice strong pop, nice base, nice pop out of the top, and it actually should be drawn more like that, right? Up, sideways, and then boom, it burst out the top. Now we're kind of in that sideways movement. So we'll see where we go overnight. Overall, though, I mean, this is where the high came in. We could draw a box in this range right here and say, let's see, there's your zone. And we're talking about 9 pips right there. So, it's moved a little bit, right? It's moved a little bit. Had you set this up for, some type of a short position, you'd be looking about in there. No, I don't want it to do that. There to there. Right, you're talking about 9 pips. This line down here was your 1 to 3, and then this is your 1 to 5 risk reward. So, the 1 to 3 is in an okay space. If you look to the left of that, that's right about where that kind of basing area is. So, not a bad target. You made it about 2/3 of the way. Had you taken that originally in, and I think the zone's probably still valid. It's the upper side of that channel, but we'll see what it's able to do in the overnight. Okay, let me put one of these tags on there so you guys can kind of see where that level is coming in at. All right. How come I can't run into that type of it? Yeah, I don't, that doesn't happen to me. And I wouldn't spend $1.6 million drinking. But, I mean, if it starts spitting money out, I mean, who am I to stop it? Right? I mean, I don't necessarily go to church, but I feel like if there's a $1.6 million worth of money that's spitting out at me, there's a higher power somewhere that wants me to have that money. Right? It may be a higher power or a lower power, but I will probably spend it either way. If a machine is going to spit money out at me, you know those images of making it rain. I'm making it rain, man. I'm making it rain. And put it all in Bitcoin. Oh hell no. No. There are many more things I could do with $1.6 million. I have a mattress that will make me more money than Bitcoin will. Yeah, we won't go there. All right, so with this being said, let's jump into the Aussie dollar. Oh, you know what? Let me pull up. Hold on. Let me pull up Nadex. Are you guys curious to see kind of the available Nadex contracts for it? I did that last week, and I know that the feedback I got from the Nadex group, they liked that I was pulling up Nadex contracts and kind of showing people those things. If you guys are let me know if that's something you guys like, and I will make sure that I keep doing that. Just kind of walk you through some of my processes. Yes, please. You like that? Okay. So we know where price is at. Let's kind of take a look. It's kind of about blocking it off here. So let's start off kind of where we are right now. I mean, that's always, again, this is not, you guys can see over here in forex, not a touch bracket available pair with the Aussie dollar. So first things first, always start off with a call spread. It's a little bit easier. Go over here and let's look for the dailies and kind of see where we are at, right? So the indicative is at 64.58. We're kind of up in that area right here, showing us that we're at 64.62. Looking at the actual call spreads to see kind of where they're at, right? Let me make this a little bit wider. There we go. All right. You can see with price being a little bit high, this one is, let's see, 64.60. This one is actually right where we kind of need to be, right? So there has small binaries like this. Now this is about $22 risk. There's a lot of premium cranked into this one. Look at that. It's a lot. It's a big move. With the indicative right now at 58, this has got a lot of them in there. And again, this is what happens when you have these like kind of longer term. And again, I don't use the call spreads as much at night. So a lot of premium in that one for some reason. I'm not sure why. Let's see what we got for 9 to 11 here. 9 to 11 has one also. It's reading us at 58. Got here. Oops, not that one. Did I do the right one? Oh, no, it's this one. I was like, wait a second. I'm like, there's no way. Something along those lines. I mean, those are pretty tiny. Now, there's no catalyst tonight really for this to move. Tomorrow would be a better time to do this, but I'm just kind of walking you guys through the process. That's the first thing that I'm going to look at is where we are currently. We are sitting currently in a zone that may be something that's tradable. It looks like you get about $6 risk per contract on this one. This is not a binary, so it will move, pace by pace. But if this was a setup and this was tomorrow night where we had that CPI rating, this would absolutely be worth taking a shot on it because it only needs to move a little tiny bit, and CPI is a red thing, so it could definitely move a bit. Looking over the binaries for this one, let's see what we got. And then tomorrow morning at 10, So there's a couple ways you can play this. You go for one that's pretty close, and we'll kind of check them out, right? Taking a short off this area, it looks like, let's see how much premium they got stacked into this bad boy. I mean, like something like this, the 64.20, you're only talking about 40 pips worth of movement, and it only has about, what, $17 worth of risk on this one? And we have U.S. News in the morning. Now, the U.S. News is at 10, so this would need to kind of get some help in the overnight. But, 40 pips, this one has an ATR of 88. That's only half the ATR. You know that one is well within the striking distance for that one. The one a little bit higher, this one, again, needs to move. Not as much, but again, a little bit more risk in this one. The risk in this one is about 35. I mean, risking is 33. You'd be looking to have to take this one to the final expiration. But, that could be, a potential trade setup. Let's see. That's the 11. Let's see what the 3 is, just, for that extra kind of oomph to see how much more expensive that is. What was it, 64.20 over here? Yeah, it's a little bit more, right? A little bit more. You got more time in there. There's about $20 risk versus 17. About $3 more, but you're giving yourself an extra 6 hours for the U.S. market to see if there's any type of, talk about that one, or if gold price is rising, or anything. There could be a number of different things. So, yeah, Aussie, those are 2 potential Aussie setups for shorts that you could take. Looking at Aussie Yen. Look at Aussie Yen on the daily. Let's remove some of these just so we can get it clear. All kinds of things on there. All right. So Aussie on the daily. So Aussie Yen here, we're pushing back up into that gap area. This is kind of the lower section of the gap there. Obviously hand drawn zone there because it doesn't come across. We can actually shorten this a bit, right? Make it a little bit closer. Let me extend it off as well. Kind of in that range. So you can see we're pretty close. These. Now we can leave the little ones here. Remove that one. All right. I would say this one still has to go a bit higher. You can see, though, checking this one out, this one is actually almost all the way back to where it was. If I mark off kind of the middle area right here, you can see that's exactly where price is down here on the bottom. So Aussie Yen is more or less returns at 86 pips. That's a little bit higher than normal. But again, the good news is it's back, right? It's back to where it should be. Dropping down to a 4-hour, you can see again, that's where the 4-hour gap is. It's pretty close. The hourly, again, not much movement, right? We had that kind of big spike up today, and that spike really started at this time last night, right? When the market came fully online. But once it kind of peaked here around about, 10, 11 o'clock Eastern, it more or less stayed in the same range, and top to bottom was only about 20, 25 pips during this pair. So really kind of it just kind of got flatlined on us. It looks similar as well. The only difference between the Aussie Yen and the Aussie dollar right now is the fact that this one did push higher on its last push, just slightly before it got kind of slammed back down again. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens now in the current candle, right? We do know that it will close in approximately 35 minutes and 52 seconds. How do I know that? Because of the indicator sitting right up here. You guys can't really see it because it's white. I mean, I guess I can change. Where is it? This one here. I can change this, change that to black. I think you guys can see it then. Yeah, there you go. You guys can see it up there now. It's small, but this tells me how many minutes, till the close. But it looks very, very similar. That large pop-up stabilization. It didn't keep trending. It didn't keep moving. Could potentially see this one falling down. Now, again, the consumer confidence number is supposed to be bad tomorrow, so this may be the market preparing for that. If it doesn't come in as negative, right? If it doesn't come in as negative, is what the market says, that would be more or less dollar strength. That would drive this thing right back down again. So it does kind of match what we're seeing in the news. The setup as far as, what we're going to see for Nadex is more or less going to be the same on this one, but I'll kind of look at it. As far as spot currency, like I said, the other one has an actual setup. This one, I wouldn't say there's a great zone on it. So you have to be kind of looking over in this realm for it. I'll use the 3 p.m. tomorrow. We're currently at, let's drop one of these price tags in. So we're currently sitting this area. And like I said, not really as clear of a zone. I mean, we could have, you could have done something off of this, but again, we drove right to the very, very end. So kind of similar, kind of the same idea. You're talking about about 14 pips, potentially around there. I mean, so again, in spot currency, you'd be looking at something along those lines. This one does not have that kind of the hiccup, and in this case, the 1 to 5 is really probably where we're going to get more of a bounce than anything else. I don't see it. If it can start crashing down, it's not going to really stop until here, just slightly above the 1 to 5. So This one has a better risk to reward aspect to it. The other one has the better setup of the two. You guys can rate those how you see them fit. Looking across, if we're at 69.30 right now. Yeah, this one's going to require a bit more movement. Yeah, this is asking for 50. So yeah, this one expects more movement, and I don't like this setup as much. So yeah, it's all right. Let's see if there's as much premium jacked into this one. There's a 69.30 right now, exactly where price is. Yeah, it's the bid is very low, $20 risk. Yeah, there's a bunch of premium stacked in this one. So, oh, thanks, Mario. I do actually, but you know, I appreciate the opinions. So yeah, I don't see much on this one. I like the other one better. I think Aussie dollar is a much better position here. All right, so let's go over and look at euro yen, and we'll check that one out. All right, so euro yen on the daily. This one is pushed all the way back down, as you guys can see. We did take a little bit of a bounce. It did grab the orders right up here with the wick over wick, and it's bouncing a bit, right? Like we had marked this one off, and we got the bounce. We are still extremely low, so although we are still in that downtrend, it is pulling back. We're gonna have to be risky about this one, or cover ourselves. We don't want to be selling into this. Just with the buying right here, we've already seen it respect that level one time. We actually went all the way down to, and I think you guys can see it on the green. We went down to this area right here, so we got super close and got turned around. So definitely some buyers there. Be cautious with any shorts. Dropping in the lower time frame, you guys can see we had that level marked. You can see the red candle came right to the top of the label, right? Let's see if I can move the label out of the way here. Get this guy out. We'll push him. You know what? We'll push him. Actually, I'll switch labels. Let's put this back down here. That's the one I wanted to move. Let's see. Get that out of the way. Oops. Let's bring this guy back down. Delete that guy, and we'll throw an opposite label on, just so it's easier to see. Okay. All right. More or less the same thing on the 4 hour. Not a lot of movement. Again, Monday, not too much movement at all. There you go. You guys can see what it looked like on the hourly. No trend, no nothing. So again, we're still waiting for any type of a bounce off this lower level. Even shorting wise, we got a level slightly above, but this is nothing. There's just not worth it. You're talking about 20 pips total movement in the last 24 hours. Nothing to trade in that one. But again, keep this in your radar. Even on the lower time frame, there just was nothing today. Even on the 30-minute, slight channel, but I mean, tiny trade. I mean, that was hitting at what? 10 o'clock this morning, but the risk on it was real. I mean, you're talking about less than 5 pips. So, was it there? But I wouldn't quite say it was trending. We'll see. I think this bottom section down here on the larger time frame is really what we need to focus on more than anything else. You guys will be able to see it over here. Okay, so it's going to be between that level. You can see the white bar behind it. Here, it's much better. It's easier to see on this one. Okay, so watch that level around 1536. So nothing overnight for this one. Looking at pound yen. Let's see. On the daily, we've been pulling back from that zone. Again, we had drawn that zone. We took a nice bounce off of it, pushed all the way down. Where it turned was an interesting spot. Like I said, there's a long wick here, a long wick here, a long wick here, and then a little bit of a racetrack before we got another wick area. So it turned in an interesting spot. Looking at it on the lower time frame, again, we had that one kind of small piece last night, but here in the last 24, 16 to here, 24 back, same thing, just no movement. This pair is up 9 pips in 24 hours. So it didn't really have much of a burst whatsoever. In fact, actually probably less than that. So it's 10, but it's retracing a little bit on the 15 minutes. So kind of the same problem. It's been like kind of like a Monday, right? You know, we've had that same type of Monday situation. We're still in the middle. And again, that's what we talked about last week on this one. Yeah, see, we kind of pulled right out of that same zone that we marked off. So, you know, clean levels on this one. I think it's still going to be this red line up top is probably the best that we have. This is a junk level. This is a junk level. There's a little wick over wick here. Yeah, that's probably it. And that's all we got. I mean, we've got this little level here, right? Up to this section. There's that, but that's really it. Nice push off. I mean, I like how this kind of pushed down, but we got to see what the approach looks like. But this I'm not worried about. This I'm not worried about. And even downside, I mean, what do we have? I mean, we got a bit of a gap here that we bounced off of, obviously. You know, we had this bit of a gap here that we punched off of, right? We had this gap. But besides that, I would not have traded this gap here. This is not something that I would have traded. This, just the way it formed. Again, it formed back here with the wick over wick. Tested here, tested here, tested here, tested here. And this one pushed it to the brink. So would not have traded that. Don't know if I would trade this one again. I have to see what it looked like. If this one comes down in one burst, then yeah, this is probably tradable. But if we come down in base before it, I'm not interested in trading that one as well. So for me, I think right now, this is the 30-minute. I think I'm looking at safe-wise here or here are the two that I'm looking at. I'm not going to do much either way. It looks like we need 60 up and about 70 down for those. This zone is very, very small if you were going to take that. Let's see. Yeah, it's not that big. I mean, it's only about 8 pips on the pound yen, which is very, very small. It's 1 to 3 is fine. It's 1 to 5 is not in a bad position either. So, not horrible. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, if we come down and we base sitting right here, it's going to be like a definitely no trade. And that's what we're going to have to watch out for. This zone, I'm pretty sure, is smoked. I don't think we'll hit, I don't think we'll have any problems with that one. And again, this will have to be New York Open maybe, but London Open definitely if prices down here. It's worth taking. The U.S. news tomorrow probably will affect this a little bit, but I think for the most part, yeah. And what do we got? We got 45 pips. So I mean, it's possible. Again, we can cover it. I mean, it can move that far. With the daily of 107, it's less than it's basically a 4-hour. It's a 4-hour move. We can come down there. So it's there. I don't know in the next 4 hours we're gonna get there before the London Open, but probably the best we got for this one now. And we're so far, I'm not even gonna pull Nadex charts on it. Looking at this guy, so let's see. We pull these all over here. Move that just to keep that at that level. And this one, we're fine. This one bounced. You guys can see this one was that level we drew last week. So we'll keep these over here. Kind of the same idea, right? I mean, we came right off that level last week. And again, the bottom level, you guys can see the green box went into it. So this one is also bracketed in. This one only moved about 34 pips in the last 24 hours. So kind of the same situation. You know what, I'm just going to delete these. It's probably easier. Yeah, we only had one bounce, right? One bounce today is all we really had. I think we're still good top or bottom. 125.80, 121.83 is really where I'd be looking for these two. Let me see if we do have a nice... Let's see where we got there. 125.80. No, this one will get stopped. This one will be reprinted. Actually, from where we are right now, we're at 124.24. So basically, all three of these touch brackets are going to get busted before we get to this guy. This one will just barely be busted. So the one we'd be looking for if this thing pops is probably going to be one of these two replacements. This one will just break, so it will be posted much, much higher. But it'll be TB2 or TB3. When these two reprint, that's what we'll be looking for top side, and that's probably a valid. If we're able to do this tomorrow, that'll give us the rest of the week more or less. That'll give us a nice setup there. Now bottom side, yeah, bottom side's a bit too far. 121.83. It'll break all four of these to the downside, and most likely, let's see, 1, 2. It'll probably be, so top side, it'll probably be TB2 if I had to guess. The new TB2 one that's printed in the third slot will probably be the one you'd be looking to short. Downside, I think it'll be, let's see, we're at 124. Probably, it may be actually the break to the bottom. It'll be the TB1 or TB2 reprint. The top side, it'll be the TB2, TB3 reprint is what you'd be looking for. So just mark those two off as far as, using your touch brackets, top or bottom. But that's where I'd be using this. Again, 4-hour levels, look the top and bottom, keep the risk low, and that's what we got for those. So euro pound. All right, so euro pound, we're sitting on a level right now. Just be cautious of that with any shorts we look to take. That was it's a level we created late last week, but it's, again, just a retrace, right? Just a retrace. So I wouldn't say that this is the best takeoff level from where it went anyway. This is, again, that Brexit news. You can see, again, not a lot of movement today, dropping it down to an hourly. Again, this was a bounce down, grabbed a small level, and I wouldn't have traded that level. And then we got a little bit more of a pop. So, I wouldn't mark off this zone either. I'd be using this right here. That level is what I'd be using for that short. That short is probably good for one more hit. You can actually refine that risk just a little bit lower, make it smaller, bring it to the bottom of the body, and then again, you can see it still entered that area. That's rather small. It's only about 4. So one other thing we can do on this one is let's move this back. Actually, just refresh it. I'm gonna take this off, then refresh. There we go. Here's another option. Again, if you don't want to be as aggressive, we can always take it off of this level right here. Okay, we do have a wick over wick that was tested and then turned out to be the second retest is kind of the big collapse point, right? We're talking about 8 pips risk, so a better risk of reward on that one. Again, sometimes 4 is just a little bit more chop looking in there. The 1 to 3 is in a good position. The 1 to 5 is also in a pretty good position right now. We'll have to see as the candles paint on the way up. Again, definitely make sure you get out of here. It's been proven that there are buyers sitting in that zone, so we'll see what it does. It may go up. It may end up basing in this level right here. It's probably the best one we have right now on this guy. Playing that to the downside. All right. Now, again, it is coming off that zone on the daily, so it will have to push back up again. It may drop a little bit lower. Don't worry about that, but keep this one marked. That's actually a pretty nice little sneaky level in there, and definitely something worth looking out for. Right above that, there is actually a basing level here that's been tested as well, so may want to keep an eye on that. We have that lower one. Yeah, we want it to come down one more time. We want it to tag this bottom level before we push back up. Yeah, we have 2 levels here. They're not bad. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be short in this one. Again, small term short play, but anything longer than that, watch out for the top and bottom. All right, so euro dollar. Euro dollar has moved 3 pips, as you guys can see here. Again, if you guys don't have your scanner set up, set it up. It's only moved 3 pips in the last 24 hours. So, yeah, we got to make sure that we got enough room for this one to run. Whoops, that's fine. I'll just leave it up there. All right, so on the daily, you guys can see we're pretty flat. Not surprising, you guys see the little sawtooth right here. So it's running into a bunch of sellers. Yeah, came off that 4-hour zone. Trying to see if we would trade that one again. Yeah, I would trade it again. As you guys can see here, we got about halfway through that zone, and that was that touch bracket that we talked about before. So obviously we're not holding it into the weekend. So you're able to get about 2 to 1 on that one. And again, we never got the bounce. We would have liked a better of a bounce into that area, but that was the one we drew. I don't remember who asked for that one last Thursday, but we ended up not making it all the way down before we rallied. 4-hour wise, that zone is not bad. Like you said, you guys can see we tickled it here. When we go down to the hourly, I'll hit the overlay button. You guys can see that there's the dotted line right here where that overlay is. Because we've hit it once here and then came back up and touched it again and pushed away, there is a little wick over wick in here, but I would just take it off the top one. I think that's probably the better bet. Just get a little more conservative with it. Take it off of here, right? Extend that out a little bit more. Yeah, you're probably fine right there. And then just let that ride. So kind of do the same thing, right? Bring this up, bring it across, and again, we'll see how that one paints. I have to remove these for the Nadex broadcast anyway. And then bring this one over here as well. Okay. Now, this one, if price does nothing but bounce up right now, the 1 to 5 is definitely not a valid target. We will not be able to clear through this zone. So make sure you kind of keep this one tight. If we continue to push lower, again, just keep that on your radar for later on. But again, if we go straight up right now, we will have a little speed bump as it goes through. Make sure you're out at 1 to 3. Don't hold the 1 to 5. It will have issues with this area in here. Okay. You guys can see the level of basing here and how it's respected that level, right? Came across, popped, touched. And again, this will be touch 3, but no point risking your profits when you've gained this far for this little bit here. Okay. Whoops. I didn't want to delete that. Sorry. Here, I'll just right in there. Okay. I don't see this one actually being that big of a mover tomorrow, but we'll see if we can get up top. I do like the 4-hour zone. I do think the 4-hour zone is a valid area, but again, we're going to make sure we get, and it's actually marking off the wick over wick. We need to make sure we get a bit higher. So look for that level. Set yourself an alert on this one. When we clear this range top is at 108.60. So if we get up to 108.65-ish, That's fine. That gives you about 5 pips to get back. If you need more than that, set it a little bit lower. And that'll give us kind of a, see whether we're basing or whether we're popping into this one. This could be an interesting trade setup tomorrow morning at around 10. If we are sitting up in this range, and actually let me check this right now. That zone is here. I'm thinking about a 10 a.m. reversal off this level tomorrow. Oops, not Forex Factory. Let's see. We're at 108.70. There's a 108.72 right there. So there's one that's really, really close. So we have something a little bit farther away. We're like sitting right there. Man, at this point, where's the bottom of this one? 106. That's the big one, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, it's so far away. I don't think this will be a good setup for tomorrow. It's going to have to break right at that level. It's just a little bit too touchy. Like I said, all these are very, very far away from the bracket because we pulled away in the last, 6 hours, 8 hours. So you're not going to be able to use a touch back for the reversal. You're probably going to have to use one of the binaries. But again, we'll see what the binaries look like tomorrow morning. But most likely in this one, and actually this one we could potentially use that, but we'll price it off of here right now. So you'll be looking for, let's see. It'll be sitting approximately up here for at the monies. Your 108.80 will probably be the closest one. Again, we will probably go into the area a little bit. So you're most likely going to be looking at probably the 108, probably 108.40s to 108.20s in here. See what the price looks like. Remember, after the news, the volatility will suck out pretty quick. And these will get pretty cheap. You'll be able to get these out of the money for probably the 20s, probably in like the $15 range. Probably the $20 to $22 range for the 108.40s. And that would only be a 30 pip move. Okay, you need to move 30 pips from the 10 a.m. reversal down. That's definitely something that's doable, as you guys can see, based off of normal time, right? You can see here is like the 10 o'clock range. You can see that the ATR is fluctuating at about 18 pip range, right? So it definitely has the ability to move in, 5 hours, 6 hours from that time frame. Or drop it down to the 2 hours. And again, the 2 hours will be much smaller. You don't need to move as much. So that could be for a 10 a.m. reversal. This 108.70 on the hour. All right. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, I don't expect to move as much. Now, again, all we're doing is retracing. It's moved 40 pips in the last 24 hours. We're still kind of pushing back to the downside. We had some shorts there that we were looking to get into. Again, you guys can see the white area. It pulled back up and has now just been moving down on lower time frames. Here was a trade from last week. You can see with the Nadex contracts, we got protected by not using it in spot. Came all the way back down and almost hit its full profit target. But with Nadex, you were good to go, right? So price is currently sitting right here now. We just took a bounce off this 1 hour level. It was a level that I looked at before, but because we drove so deep into here, it was a Nadex contract. There was a nothing. It was not worth a spot contract here. I like these two zones. I like the way this movement happened. I like that it came up and based. I would have liked if this was the first test and not the formation behind it, but I do like the way that its reaction came off of it. Nice strong push down about halfway to the opposing zone. It based and then continued to grind its way back down again. Now you guys can see there's a little bit of gap at the end of the day, and we've really done nothing much. Again, we bounced and then kind of pushed higher. This was a 30-minute level as well. This one came out earlier. Actually, the alert system kind of went off on it. And I looked at it, but I ended up having to do something with the baby, so I didn't trade it. It's an okay level. I wouldn't look at this one and do the analysis on the 30-minute. Focus on the hourly. I think the hourly is giving you the best two options. Here's where current price is now. And then there's your top. There is your bottom. Okay. And either of those is probably okay. Bottom side, I'd be very cautious taking it in spot at this point. Not only because this one drove deep, but because then we hit the level again. So we're approaching 3 or 4, which is typically where we break. If we do break, I do like this one to the downside though. So, just keep that on your radar that, there's a potential Harry Potter trade setting right here. Oops. Right here if we're able to break through the bottom side. Get some white space, go a little bit lower, and we are good to go. Okay, looking at your 1 to 3s, you guys can see there's nothing here to the left. You're good. Your 1 to 5s, we're good, right? We're not expecting buyers to step in until this level, which is right below your 1 to 5. So there is a Harry Potter to the downside if we're able to break through that zone. That break will occur right here. Right there at 139.98. So right around the 114 mark, or the 140 mark. Not a bad level. It's going to be a psychological level. You'll see it kind of get sucked back into that as well. And your targets will be 139.47, so about 50 pip drop. Not horrible whatsoever. Okay. All right, going to dollar yen. So dollar yen, let's bring this guy up, bring him across. So you can see dollar yen has been grinding harder into this loan. It goes lower and then pulls up and then goes lower. It's ready to break. It's just trying to get the actual confirmation to go through. And I mentioned that in the weekend report that we've been sitting there. And again, you guys can see here on the 4-hour, we bounced off it again today. It still really wasn't a short trade. Here's where that kind of pop through was. You guys can see we've pushed about 70% of the way through the zone. So, I wouldn't say that this zone is worth any type of a buy at this point. Again, you'd be drawing the zone. If anything, you'd be drawing it off of here, right? Not that entire bit. That's taking it off the actual movement of the candle. So I wouldn't take it off of there on the 30-minute. You guys can see. Let me go back. I want to see back here. I want to see the original level. Oops. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I wanted to see this right here. All right. So yeah, so we're good. Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. We got 9 pips on the bottom, which I'm fine with that. And 9 pips up top. So we're using, this is our top side entry. And then drop down to 30, and we're using, this is our bottom side entry. And you can see there's a level there. We're just taking it a little bit higher. Keep it even, 9 on both sides. Oops. And talking about there. And right there. Okay. So 107.52 and 106.99. We'll see if we can get to either of those. And again, the consumer confidence number comes out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That's going to be the most important number to look at. And again, kind of the same idea. Looking for this one right here. Looking for a reversal at 10:30 tomorrow morning based off of this number and what we see here with those news. Okay, so keep those two marked off for those. Dollar Swiss. So let me pull dollar Swiss. Let me get this guy back out of the way. All right, so dollar Swiss has moved. I don't even have this up on the chart. Oh no, 25 pips in the last 24 hours. So seeing a little bit of dollar strength in there. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily dollar strength as it is kind of Swiss uncertainty with what's going on in Europe. It's nothing huge. Again, 25 pips is really not that much. Looking at this one on a daily, the ATR looks like it has popped itself off. Actually, I don't even need to do this. Let's change the template. Oh, I guess I didn't have it saved on that one. Let's see. Change it to navy. Oops. Size. There we go. All right. So you can see currently we're at 65 pips. It's almost all the way back. The average on this one is just down here, basically right around the 55-ish mark. So got a little bit more to go. But daily, again, it's grinding. It's sitting in a level of supply. We knew that last week. Again, didn't even come back down to where our entry was. Now, it's bounced off of this basing level up here. Again, we talked about this. We talked about this. But we were going for the conservative top or bottom. Unfortunately, it didn't have enough legs to get to either of those two areas. Here's that level last week that we had marked off. They said, hey, listen, if we can get back down to there. Drawing the zone off this level, you can see it did come down and bounce, and it did get, did move. But you're only talking about, 27 pips on that one total. So it's kind of one of those ones. It's like, do you take it? Do you not take it? You want that small of a move. And this is kind of what you had to endure today is this much movement, right? You're talking about 18 pips, and it took you what? 13 hours, 14 hours, and it didn't move outside of a 10 pip range. So we had one bounce all day, one kind of move here in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then that was it. It just flatlined. And this is why I don't necessarily like this pair as much, because it just takes forever for it to move. You need really something big. The consumer confidence number will give it a bit of a kick tomorrow, but we'll have to see where it's at. Again, we're not going to be interested in selling it right in the middle here. Wait till it gets to the top or bottom of the zone. And in all honesty, I like the yen one better than I like this one for either of these top or bottom brackets. Yeah, I mean, they're all right on the hourly. This is a nice pushback, but for the most part, I think the yen gave us a better opportunity. All right, so let's jump over the indices. So indice-wise, you can see that we were sitting up in a level last week, and we had the level marked off, and you guys can see we had some red today. It pierced thin and then pushed all the way back again. Again, the NQ has been the stronger of the pairs, right? We've talked about breaking new levels, and we did get above this 87.42, and again, that level is sitting up here, okay? Bring those back down. Just get them out of the way. It makes it easier. All right, so we're close, as you guys can see. It's already started to turn away. It's given us a confirmation, a red, a pullback, and now a red. It's going to close in approximately 3 hours on this one. You can see on the lower, on the hourly time frame, not only do we form the level, but you got the entry and kind of pushed away. 30-minute wise, give it its new data here. Here's the entries. You can see there was a couple different things. There was actually another smaller trade that was set up right at this level here. You guys can see that we ended up pulling another short. Carl, I think, either got 2 or 3 trades out of the short today based off of these levels to the downside. I can, again, in the overnight, I can see it do the same exact thing. Now, there is some buyers coming into this range. I'll just pull another one. Sitting kind of in this range, I expect there to buyers to set in about that range. There's a little bit of a hiccup right here. You guys can see there's a level there. It looks like it's been respected as well. Yeah, it's been respected already. It's been pushed off of. So it'll probably push through, but we definitely have some buyers here. Another area that you need to watch out for as well is looking at this level, right? This level is going to matter. Nice clean pop, nice sideways movement, nice pop. 5 candles straight out the top of that one. So, again, looking at the exit, in one of the mentoring sessions this week, and I talked to somebody about this, obviously when we're forming levels, we like to see an entrance in, a base, and a nice push out. So when we're forming a level, you want an explosion out. When you're trying to get a trade set up, we're looking for the explosion in, okay? If this spikes up and then goes sideways and then starts to slowly grind, it's not as good as a level if it grinds up bases and then launches itself out. When you're entering a trade, it's not as good as if it grinds down slow, and hits the level. It's better if you have a spike like this where it spikes up and pushes away. So it's kind of the exact opposite, whether you're forming a level or you're entering on a level. So that's what I'm saying. This area, obviously, price had a hard time. It tried to push back down. There is a wick over wick here that it did punch into multiple times. It's technically hit about 3 times, so I definitely can see it breaking through that level, but I do think it will have a bit of a speed bump here. It may not be able to stop it, but this may be enough of a speed bump to slow this down. And again, it depends on what's going on, what time of the day it is. Is it close to 10? Are we reversing? Is it close to the end of the day? Do we need a kind of a rally at the end of the day? Is Trump going to say something? Et cetera, et cetera. So, for this one, obviously the 30-minute levels have been really key. You guys can see here that this first trade, let's see, there was multiples in here. The first trade on this one triggered at 5:30 in the morning. There's another trade that triggered at 8:30 this morning. And again, this another level here, you were looking at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then you're looking at 4:30. And then this one most recently, about 8:30 tonight, pushing away. And all these have been, pretty nice little movers, right? There's your 3 to 1. And whoops. No snap. There to there. And you can see we're about ready. We're about to hit it, right? About 1 to 3. And that would have actually been a good target for 1 to 3 as well. It's sitting right above that zone where we expect buyers. So not a bad one. I think Carl got 2 out of this one today. He may have gotten a third one out of it. I know we went 3 for 3 today. I don't know if they were all in NQ, but I know 2 of them were. Okay. Again, overnight, I can see this, coming down. Tomorrow morning is when you got to watch it. Look see what the open looks like in the futures market. And then again, make sure you're watching this one at like 9:30 tomorrow morning. The news release comes out directly at 10. So start looking for your levels that'll be formed between 8:30 and 9. And again, if we're in the upper or lower, this wouldn't be a bad level to take. Now, this one does, let's see. I want to move this over. Whoops. Let's see. I've got a level here. I'm going to see where is this top. Let me bring this to an hourly. Let's see. Where's my 4 hour? Yeah, 4 hour sitting up top with this one. So basically 4 hour level here. I don't know if you guys can see it. And there's another 4 hour level down here. I was trying to see how far away they would be on that time frame. Because here's what I'm looking for. Trying to see what type of setups we have for that tomorrow. Whoops. Let's see. Where are we at? 88.92. This guy over here may be okay. Let me see quick. Oops. Down breaks at 88.9. That's 88.46. That's too high. Yeah, I think this is going to give us the best opportunity. I was trying to see what we'd have match up against it. This guy right here, unfortunately, the 88.58 is literally right at the zone. It would have to like just barely touch the bottom and not go any higher. So I mean, you could get extremely low risk. I'm just afraid that this one will come up. It's only, you know, a dollar, actually 25 cents off from being at the breaking point. It's a little bit too close. It'd be nice if it was just a little tiny bit farther. And yeah, price is currently at, let's see. So the only good thing about that one coming up that high is this one will break, and that may give us the better of an entry. When this TB18 breaks, that could give us an entry that would give us a much better risk to reward in that zone. Give us a little bit more breathing room. Like I said, 25 cents right there is definitely not worth it. You're just the whip on it. You'll get stopped out on it if you took that touch bracket that close. I'd like one a little bit higher, and I think this when this one breaks and gets reprinted, that one would give us a better opportunity. All right. Yeah, but I'm not worried about VIX going up. Yeah, VIX going up, but here's the thing. VIX is going up because the market went down today, right? Market goes up, what does the VIX do? Right? Market goes down, or the VIX goes down. Okay. Yeah, CL. Well, until there's demand, the CL is not going to be an issue, right? There's no CL prices will not continue to go higher until there is demand in the markets, right? Because if nobody's driving a car, who's going to buy the oil that's sitting there? Carl is a market maker, masquerading as a regular dude. Yeah. No, yeah, he was 3 for 3, but I don't know if it was 3 for 3 on NQ or not. It may have been, but I don't remember if it was on all three of them. I know 2 of them were, but it may have been the third one as well. So looking at the S&P. So it's a 5-minute one. All right, so I'll go to the daily. So this one, we've had this area marked off before, and you can see we ran into it again. This has been kind of a sticking point. Unlike NQ, which has already pushed its way up, this one has been running to that same level, and you can see it's printed red right now, bouncing off that level. Okay, here's your 4-hour. You can see kind of the same thing. We had this hand-drawn level from last week, and there was a smaller one, obviously, that the indicator drew by itself. It took a bounce right off of that same level. On an hourly, you can see the same zone that we have up top. You could have shrunk this on the lower time frame and dropped yourself within that frame, and you can see same thing. Last time price came up, big push away, big test again, and that's exactly what it hit again. This one kicked in, I don't know, maybe, let's see. Nah, this would have been end of day, so he didn't grab this one. He was already done for the day, but this wouldn't have been a bad one either, you know. I was done. I wasn't anywhere close to a computer at this point, but there's your short. You're about 2/3 of the way through to your profit target. And it's in an okay place. I mean, it's probably going to have a little bit of a problem right here, but nice level that it bounced off up to the downside. Doing the same thing. Of the two, I would say that this one is more poised for kind of a break. NQ definitely looks like it wants to head to the downside. This one looks like it wants to stabilize a bit more, just by the way it's formed. Like I said, there is a great zone here, but you know it's hit it, and it didn't have a huge reaction off of it. It's slowly grinding lower. There's an area of basing here, another area here, another area here. So there's more steps in this one to the downside. Actually, in the 30-minute, you can see we're actually running right in. And actually, look, the indicator did show the 30-minute grab in that level. So it's approaching a 30-minute, but even looking here, you guys can see a level of basing here, a level of basing here, a level of basing here. This one just seems like it has a bit more stabilization than the NQ does. And again, we're talking about 30-minute charts in the middle of the night here. So this is more of a tomorrow morning type situation that we're going to want to focus on this one. But that zone, and actually, if you would have used their zone for this one, actually, I don't even need this. I'll just do the indicator do it for me. You guys can see that you would have hit the 1 to 3 already. Right? You actually just went through your 1 to 3 right there. Okay. Here, I'll delete the white for you. It's a little easier to see it. Okay. 30-minute levels, man. 30-minute levels. They've been working well. For tomorrow, I'd say of the two, I think at this point, I like NQ more for a short. I like how it's putting levels in above. The S&P is kind of coming up and grabbing new levels, but it's forming a much, much better base. Once it comes down to here, we break more levels, then yeah, I'd say I'm bearish this one. But right now, I'd say it's more in a sideways kind of holding pattern versus what the NQ is. Now, the Dow is kind of in that same situation. We've had a couple levels up here on the daily. Same thing. Dow, we had a level right above that we had marked off. We had said, hey, listen, if price was able to get up. It didn't actually get that high. It got like right, I mean, we're talking like right there, right? So close, and then turned and flipped, right? There's the indicator. Here's our hand-drawn zone. You can see it's not an entry. I'd love to say that it was, but it's not an entry. We just missed it, and it's already starting to push down. I think it will try to come a bit higher. You can see the indicator has now marked that one off, but this is the one that we have marked off on the daily. So let's do this. We'll just do daily. Yeah, we'll mark it on the daily. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. So a lot of stuff, similar situation, except again, this one is still continuing to push higher. I would say, mm, kind of the same idea. I mean, there's a zone sitting right here, a little bit of a zone right here. Let's see what that looks like. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's move this up. I want to see what's above here. That's not a bad level. I like the way that they came back and retested. So we got a bit of ways to go to that one. But again, I think this is, oops, level sitting right about there. Still in that zone. This is where our current price was. Right. So I think that's probably the best setup. Set yourself an alert on this one. See if you want to get close. Right around here, about 144.16. But for the most part, I think we're waiting for this to come up, the 144.69-ish area. And again, this could be another situation where we're looking for that 10-10-30 split tomorrow morning. Look for some type of a flip around that time, coinciding also with CB consumer confidence. I think that's probably the best bet. This one to me actually looks like it wants to continue to rally a little bit. I like the way that this has been pretty healthy, right? The impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction, pulled back a bit, impulse correction, and again is pulling back. But I like the way these candles are formed. I like the way the candles are formed here. I like the way the candles are formed here. So of the two, or I'm sorry, of the three, I like the way that this one is pushing. I'd say that this one has a chance to rally a bit overnight. This one has looked like it has already turned off that zone, and again, it's kind of pushing to the downside. We'll see if it can clear this zone right here. But for me, NQ looks like it is going to continue to short. This zone is not as clean as the S&P zone is, as the Dallas. So a little bit more to the downside. All right, gold. Remember, guys, told you last week, bearish gold, right? Bearish gold. I keep telling you guys, bearish gold, bearish gold. And you guys can see this one put some decent levels in today. There's your current price right now. Here was a zone that we drawn last week, and we kind of hit it a few different times before bouncing through the top, and it didn't really do much. Again, that was our aggressive entry. As you can see, though, what has it done since that time? Came up and gave us an entry here. Gave us an entry here as well. Okay. There's a zone as well right there. Let me change this back to white. Right there. Right. Same entry, pull up, push away, retested, drop down again. The indicator painted a new one. Unfortunately, we were unable to get it. So it is going to need to push down. Like I said, I think gold for me on this one. I wouldn't be looking for buys until we get down to the 1697 area. I do like the way that this dropped, hit this level. And remember, this is actually based off the base back here. Okay, there's a base behind this. This is actually its first retest. So still probably good for a second one, but we'll see what that one comes down tomorrow morning. The consumer confidence number can affect this. Remember, with consumer confidence being really, really crappy, that would give us the likelihood of more stimulus, which would obviously be printing more money, which would give us, basically the talk back to let's add more inflation, which would be gold, which would be a gold pop. So if we're able to stabilize and flatline overnight, if we can get into this range for gold, could be a potential setup. Like I said, I don't trade Nadex as much with gold, but you do have a touch bracket sitting down that level, down at right here, 1691. The start of this range is 1697. Okay, the opposite side. Well, let's leave that one there. Whoops, let me put it in its right place. There's top side. And there is bottom side. And then pull the Nadex contract up. You guys can see this touch bracket downside is right here. There's a 1691, which is just outside this far side. So this TB6 right here in gold could give you some good opportunity. It's obviously too far away right now. We're up at the 1702 range, so it needs to drop about $10 down. But if that price is sitting down in that area with consumer confidence tomorrow morning, that could also give us a potential setup in gold for a pop to the top side. The 1681 is probably a bit far. Looking at where price is, whoops, not that one. Looking where price is here. The 1681 puts us down in see, down in this range right here, there's nothing really that can slow it down. But actually, I'm sorry, 1681 is down in this one. It's a bit deep in that zone. I think that's the touch bracket. This one right here is going to be the best one. TB6 is what you'd be looking for. Okay. Oops, I closed all the windows. Let me see. All right, so that would be gold. Silver. Okay. Silver has punched all the way, and it went all the way to the brink. All the way down again, bearish silver. You guys can see, we talked about this last week that we had multiple attempts, and we talked about this attempt is actually from back here, this level of basing, this pop basing. This was attempt number 1, attempt 2, attempt 3. This is attempt 4, we went to the brink. So this one, to me, it looks like it's going to go to the downside. I just don't see anything holding it. You could put another level in here, although I wish that the green wick here was higher than the red. So there is a little bit of an aggressive entry if you wanted to here, if you didn't want to take the top. But for the most part, I do like this top one the most. I think this top, if we come back up again, I think that this is a great level here. Oops, hold on. I think that's a good level. There. Okay. Downside, the 1477 is still where I wouldn't be looking to go long until we get back down to that level. And it looks like it's ready to break through. There is quite a bit of distance between these two. This is breaking from 1495 down to 1476. So there's some movement in there, but I still think it's we're not going to be safe until we get to one of these two lower levels. I would stay bearish on this one. And remember, any position that's more of a goal or any type of a long situation, I'm more biased or more likely to put that on with gold because I feel like that is the more bullish of these two pairs. If it's a bearish kind of mindset for the day, silver is the way that you're able to play that one because it is obviously the lagging, the one that has not been able to kind of rally back up again. So long plays, gold. Short plays, silver. Take them to the downside, although I'm bearish both of them. And again, that's, you've been able to see this one since last Thursday. I've been saying short, 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 and it's continuing to fall. All right, oil. So remember, this is the ECN data, so the data is obviously going to be smaller. Let me actually pull up our handy dandy full daily effects chart up. Just makes the most sense because this is what we've been using for last week to deal with the crazy data, the June contract, May contract issue. Now, this one is obviously pulling back down again, right? So on a daily basis, you can see that it's pushing down. Like I said, the inventory numbers is what's going to matter. I unfortunately closed down the drawing that we did on this one from last week. But remember last week, guys, when we were drawing this one, we talked about that we had levels up in this range. We had drawn basically a box. We had drawn, let's see, done a rectangle. We had drawn a box right in that level. And it literally pulled back down and stayed in that same level. Well, this week, it finally made the move. So we were talking about getting short from this zone. And again, it popped out the top, came to the bottom, and it just literally, it was a magnet for that zone. And was it done? It's rallied all back down again. Now, on the opposite side, we do have this level right here, right, to the downside. Whoops. We have come all the way back down to that level. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting, okay? Consumer confidence historically does not necessarily affect the price of oil, but with confidence being low, okay, that will show a negative sentiment in the consumer. If the consumer is really not happy, the consumer is not going to try to save as much money as possible. They may think about, do I need to leave the house? Do I not leave the house? Do I have everything need to be? Now, it is kind of an interesting situation where states are talking about reopening. Okay, this will bring demand back into the market. We will see inventories for oil and things. Once people are allowed to leave the house again, people will start buying gas again. We will start chugging through that inventory slowly at first, right? It's not going to be an instantaneous kind of, rebound again. So I would have to say the demand is not there, but we are getting in a situation where we can start seeing oil buys coming in the market. The reason why is, beaches are opening back up again. Georgia's opening back up again. I think we are a week shy before we can get into any true movement to the top side. But we've rallied from this top zone that we talked about was being a sell area all the way back down to the opposing side and into an area where last time price came down, it was supported by buyers and it kind of punched through multiple times and then finally exploded off that level. So that's where we're at now, okay? Consumer confidence will make a difference tomorrow, and we'll have to see what the overnight session does for us and what we can do. As you can see, as all this was happening, a lot higher volume, right? A lot higher volume in the beginning of the contract. The volume is obviously kind of toned off, right? Again, a lot of people are waiting to see what happens on Wednesday with that unemployment, or with the, not the unemployment number, the inventory report. Let me see if they've given us kind of figures right now. No, they haven't given us a forecast yet. So here's that number, and we have no forecast yet. So again, last time we were at 15 mil, right? We'll see if we're there again. You can see it's just been, they keep missing the forecast, but after 4 in a row, I feel like this time we're going to be on the opposite side of it. I think it'll actually be better for oil prices. So we'll see. We'll see. Just something to keep in mind there. Like I said, I'm not going to set up an oil trade on the 30-minute in the overnight with no U.S. traders online. This is one for the morning time. But as you guys can see, this one came, literally last night. It came right off, and then oil kicked in more or less in this area. The U.S. market kicked off in this time frame right here. Okay. So those are the tops and bottoms in oil. That's what we talked about. Again, they're still holding, but expect to see this number jump on Wednesday. Okay. That's it. I don't need anything for that one. I don't think that's all. I think that's all we got. Is there any other kind of off pairs that you guys want me to cover real quick? I can run through them. Dow's the only one that really hasn't gotten any supply yet. Now the Dow had some extra room. I know you guys don't do fibs as much, but let's buy hog futures. Hey, the only reason you buy hog futures is if you want to take delivery of some pork bellies. It's about the only reason you do that. Is there a big discrepancy on the gold price versus futures? Over on here, let's see. That's a good question. Here's let's see, I'll pop out the gold chart. There's your daily. Here, I'll pop this up. Let's see. It's 30-minute. Let's pull. There's the gold chart. I mean, looks pretty similar to me. Right? Current price is 1704. 1704.96, and you're at 1703.75. So slight difference, but the candles are exactly the same. Yeah, this is going to be the spot figures. I don't know. I don't think are they going to give me the future ones over there? Nah, that's the only one that they give me. Yeah, they're not going to give me the futures contracts. Hey, that's what we like to hear. Target, 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 target. Do you get copper? Just curious. No, I don't do copper. New Zealand. Okay, let me pull that one up for you, Ernest. New Zealand yen. I don't think I had New Zealand yen on this one. Let's go to the New Zealand one. Let's see, New Zealand yen. All right, so still consolidating on the daily for New Zealand yen. You guys can see we're about halfway through on your 4-hour zone. So we'd expect this to go a little bit farther at this point, but it's going to run into some issues when we sit right here. Okay, down at the 64.11. We're currently at 64.37, so we got about 20 more pips before we get to that range. It's got a little bit more to run, right? But again, you guys got to be looking at the tops and bottoms of this one, right? I'm going to put this here so it gets out of the way. And then I will take another one. I'll do this one, and we'll put that one right up there. There we go. You can kind of see it at 65.26. You have the indicator, Ernest. You're going to be able to see it, but that's what I'd be worried about, top and bottom for that one. So lower time frame. Again, here's where you see that kind of refine just a little bit more, top and bottom. Right. You are running into an area right now. So if you were short, I'd be very cautious about continuing to hold this short. I really like how this had as a wick here, then a higher wick, then a higher wick, then a higher wick, and then boom, it exploded off of it, and it retests that level. So, if you're talking about, different levels, that's what you're kind of sitting in right now, right? This level of basing, a huge burst out of it, a pop here, and then a retrace down. Now, it has pushed down. Let me see. I want to know what would cause that in the last hour. I don't see any unemployment data. I don't actually see any New Zealand stuff. Let me see. Let me check daily effects real quick. Um, let's see. Market news, calendars, economic calendar. Let me see what we got here. I don't know if you guys know how to do this or not. No, not that one. There's nothing in there. No. I was wondering if there was kind of like a hidden kind of news release for that one for New Zealand, but I don't see anything. So, huh. Let's see. Yeah, that's quite a drop. Let's see. That's a 40 pip move in the last kind of short while there. Let's see. Has there been any news? Euro dollar losses for the week. Oh, you know what that is? I know what that is. Probably this. That's probably what the news came from. That's just too big of a move for middle of the night. Yeah, it's probably what it is. Could you take a long off this area? You could. It's probably due for a bit of a retrace. It's about an 8 pip, 7 pip risk, so it's not too far. If you were setting up a zone off of that, you're looking at, potentially that range. And again, only because it's been such a huge move, right? And again, prices hit here, and this is a pretty nice little zone. It's not bad. The 1 to 3 is in a good place, right, where we see a mini wick over wick there. So not horrible at all. Again, your 1 to 5 maybe a little bit ambitious. Most likely, right about here is where the profit is going to kind of start to get in jeopardy, right? The last time price was there, that's where the base came in and the profit target hit and would drop to the downside. So, yeah, not a bad grab. Like I said, remember though, nighttime trading with this one right now, the move has already happened. It's going to probably be a slow bit of a retrace. Neither of those markets are really huge movers. But again, it is starting to move out of that zone. So again, hidden small zone, small risk. Your 1 to 3 is in a fine location. So again, you have to pull the trigger. You got to be able to take some risk, and it's only 8 pips, so it's not like you're talking about a gigantic move out of that area. Okay. Yeah, everything moved in the last hour. Again, that the Chinese data, when they set reference rates, that matters. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things that's hard to play because you don't know when they're going to do it or what the actual confirmation is. Like I said, this is always a big deal, right? Now, the big question is, how much are they manipulating this? I'm like, what are they going to set it at? Because remember, this doesn't just fluctuate like every single day. It's not like a normal. It's not like the euro where all day it's back and forth and there's really no control. They set the rate, so a little bit different of a situation. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing I see really on the markets right now in the last hour, 2 hours that really could move too much. I mean, it's not this. This one. Not really. This is obviously a big mover, right? And then obviously watch losses for the most part. There's nothing really. Yeah, I mean, it's not the bartender. That happened, this is 2 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 6 hours ago. Yeah, that's the only thing. It's the Chinese data is what it is. All right. So that's kind of how we have things set up, guys. Let's see. I can close that down now. All right. So what time is it? It's not bad. 20 after. All right, so let's pull the stream elements across, guys. Remember, we do have the drawings that we do for pip chips. I think Ernest is currently leading right now. Let's see. The new guy won it last time. Guys, remember the new guy? Ernest has not been the new guy yet. But Sir Loftus 26 is the current winner of the last giveaway. So if he wins tonight, he gets a 100 pip chip bonus into his kitty. And he can use that to spend on mentoring indicators. Again, that would be the ATR and pips as well as the closed candle as well as spread. So a couple different things right there. What did it say? The new guy. Yeah, he's going to be the new guy. We're going to have to come up with nicknames. But for right now, he's going to be called the new guy. He is the new guy. And he's got 2 tickets. So he's like, oh, yeah, I understand how this works. Risk to reward. If I risk 10 pips, is it worth it getting 100 out of it? Yes, probably. There are ways to do it. All right, so I will give you guys about another minute. So what I'll do is at 1:25, I know some of you guys like to snipe it at like the very, very last second to make sure that you can get in because there's some karma with that last little bit right there. I'll give you to the very, very end. And you guys are lucky that Josh's daughter is not here. Again, Josh is basically in a coma with homeschooling after, hours and hours and hours of trading. And His daughter doesn't need the gas money right now because she's not leaving the house. Remember, she would log in and do this for him to get gas money. No, James isn't here either. No, James is trying to be nice tonight. If Ernest had won, James would be here just to stick it to him, right? But he's not. Probably got a barrel behind the house. Yeah, maybe, right? Well, Will I know was purchasing some. I don't. Josh, if Josh was smart with 5 girls, he's probably stockpiling it too. If I know him. No, Josh will be back. Like I said, homeschooling is rough. He has 5 girls under the age of 18, all with homeschooling. So I mean, he's basically got his own like mini classroom right now. So you got to feel for him. Like, so if you guys see Josh or can send a message across to Josh, just shoot him a message on Discord. I think he's the only Josh on there. Just be like, how's homeschooling doing? Just check on him. Let him know you guys were thinking about him. All right. 2 is enough for me. Will Q buying 4. Yeah. You got to understand, Softy. He lives in New York City, so he likes to take risks. I don't think anybody's ever actually. There's only one other person that's bought 4. Okay, that guy bought like 20 tickets just to win, not realizing that what he was winning wasn't even making up for his whole losses. Yeah, but I finally won. That's all that matters. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not all that matters. Remember, it's about keeping your totals, risk to reward. All right, here's the winner. Winner of the drawing is Debbie. Oh, look at that. Debbie's talking about drinking, and bam, Debbie takes it tonight with only a wait. Look at that. Debbie with 1 ticket stuck it to the boys. Wow. You know what? I bet you these 2 are sharing some secrets on how to stick it to the guys. Is what it is. I bet you that's what it is. They're sharing secrets. I know. I don't know. Right? Debbie takes it. That's pretty good though, right? Go Debbie. Where's Debbie? Debbie's right here. Give Debbie her 25. Good. All right, cool. Go Debbie. Yeah, but you know what? Someone's gonna have to put that. Somebody will have to inform James that Debbie won tonight, so James can get the meme for the Discord channel. Right? Someone's got to get up there. We can't go without it. All right, guys. So with that said, remember, I am on Frenetics tomorrow at 12 with the What's Hot, What's Not. I will broadcast it on YouTube as well as Twitch. So you guys will be able to catch it there if you want. If not, log into the broadcast. I think we had 57 is where we're at yesterday. And there's actually more registrations this week. So we'll see what type of setups we can get tomorrow. See what type of plays we can get. And like I said, I'll go over the same pairs and we'll go through more of the Natix positions tomorrow. So should be pretty exciting. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow night. Fender, welcome to the channel. We typically broadcast from 9 to about 10:30-ish, Monday through Thursday night. And then on Tuesdays, I do broadcasts for Nadex to kind of break down the markets intraday to kind of see what we're looking for. And like I said, those are at 12 noon. Those come a little bit after, but you can watch it on Twitch if you guys want. It's whatever's easiest for you guys. All right. So you guys have a good night. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.